I wanted my son to meet this hero and be influenced by this hero. And see, he had it in him the whole time, but I didn't. And now, I've got his name and number on my computer monitor, and I can call him, I can take my son, but I didn't. And sometime later I got a phone call. Riley Stevens was killed in Afghanistan. He got shot in the neck, and the medic with him wasn't able to save him. Now I won't be able to reinforce the commonalities that I had with Riley Stevens. What are you going to do about that? Or are you going to wait until you're living with the kind of pain I have now? Are you going to love each other? Or are you going to keep being stupid? This is another world. While we're here in a clean, well-lit environment and relative civilization, our brothers, sisters, sons, daughters, aunts, uncles, they're fighting for us. They're in 130 degrees sustained temperature. They're putting bottles of water inside their shirt to cool them off so it's comfortable to drink. It's miserable. And you know what? They're volunteering to do it. What's wrong with them? Well, what's wrong with them is the culture of service is not dead yet. And you're a big part of that. And every time you wear those uniforms in public, you're sponsoring another young person that will see you. I heard it tonight. Somebody said that when they saw that uniform as a young boy, they knew what they wanted to do. Doesn't it make a difference? And it makes even more of a difference when you hold that uniform up with the other stuff, the good stuff, the leadership, the teamwork, the interdependence, the intimacy that creates a strength that at other times in our life we perceived as weakness. But wait, Mama taking care of that baby, isn't that gentle? Isn't it kind? Isn't it loving and compassionate? Do we see that as weakness, men? Do we see that as a kind of weakness? That there's somehow a weaker gender because of that? Okay, tough guy. Go ahead and threaten the child. Let's watch this, because she's going to kill you. Go ahead and mistake it for weakness. And you're going to lose every time because she's fighting for the right reasons. And it's why she's going to win every time. Let's learn a lesson from that. We can be better providers. We can care for people better. Much, much better if we'll provide and care for each other better. And learn what the true picture of service is. And learn that our culture is made of that. There wouldn't be a military. There wouldn't be the value on human life here unless our society and our country were great. And it is great. We got people protecting it far and wide, and you're doing it here. It's one team and one fight. And I think we should maintain gratitude for anyone putting themselves in that position every day. Next. That's an Air Force guy. I used to make fun of Air Force people. I used to say, well, I could have joined the Air Force, but I went in the military instead. And please forgive me, lesson learned. Because this cat right here stayed in the back of my Humvee the whole time, and we're getting shot at, sometimes from 3 different directions. And this dude had the presence of mind to type. He could type left-handed and right-handed on 2 separate keyboards. And he was talking on 6 different frequencies on the radio to 6 different aircraft, bringing in the support that we needed to keep us alive. Now for me, I'm a little more caveman than that. I'm going to put a gorilla grip on a machine gun and start shooting at the enemy, because that's all I know how to do. This guy saved our bacon time and time again. And it started me thinking how much we need people that do things that we don't even know about, we don't even understand. Next. Those are camels in the desert, and I have no idea why they're there. Next. That is the camel dude. And I have less of an explanation for why he was there. However, he was the first in about 40 individuals that we encountered that did not have gunpowder residue on his hands. And he had a great sense of humor too, but I think that was just dehydration. Next. That is a secondary explosion. You're witnessing two different kinds of smoke there. We had to blow up an ordnance cache for the enemy. Oh, but wait, we had to coordinate with the government and do psychological operations, drop pamphlets. We had to do a whole lot of stuff to get the women and children out of the village, because that's what they use for human shields. That's right. And that's all females are good for there. They're not allowed to set foot in a classroom. I used to provide medical care to villages over there, in places where they've never seen a doctor or a dentist. And they would hide their little girls, and they'd bring out the livestock instead. Now, how can that be acceptable? It's not. It's not. It's wrongdoing, and it needs to be rectified. And I recommend we stay the course, because there are pockets in America already who are adopting that kind of Sharia law. Can't be permitted. That's not who we are. That's not freedom. I got neat stories about how we figured out it was a storage dump. You know, they had these wagons, hay wagons, and you'd see the hay wagons coming in and out all the time. And it was usually elders that were riding these wagons back and forth with a donkey pulling the cart. And before long, it started changing. We were recognizing there was an age difference in the men riding on the cart. They were now fighting age males. And the carts took on a different perspective somehow. Have you ever seen The Grinch Who Stole Christmas? Where he had a dog and he strapped sticks to its head to make it a reindeer and made the little bitty dog tow the big sleigh. Well, that's what the donkey all of a sudden started looking like, because it was too heavy. And so we figured out, yeah, they're packing ammunition and explosives into there. So we got rid of them. Next. This is what happens when somebody gets hurt on your team, and everybody that can participate does in preserving life and limb in any way they can. How can we help? And it's emotional. It's more emotional than anything else, because this is someone we know, this is someone on our team, and it hurts like crazy. So we're preparing them to get them out of there. Next. And even though we know we have to re-engage with the fight that's raging on behind us, there's this moment of pause as they're being loaded on the aircraft, and we think about the last family picnic we had. And we reflect on what that person's spouse and children looked like and how happy it was. And then we worry, oh my God, what might happen? And what will the next picnic look like with that giant hole in the middle of it? It hurts. And then the last thing you think about might be, I wonder if I'll be on the next chopper. Next. This is what it's like when you have to get supplies from a parachute in the night. They drop this stuff, and you have to separate a certain number of people from the fight so they can break these materials down and cross-load and distribute. Next. And then you burn the residuals. You can't leave anything behind because the enemy will use it against you in some form or fashion. Next. That's a 2,000-pound bomb going off over a mile away. And if you've ever been close to that, then you know, well, for me, the overwhelming feeling was maybe the earth isn't very stable because it moves under your feet. And what you can't see in this picture is women and children huddled around their shelters behind us, and they realize something dramatic just happened, and they see that plume of smoke, and they're gripped with fear. And they're outside now because they want the opportunity to see or hear the next one coming and maybe have a chance to run. Now, I got to tell you, over and over, the thought for me was the same. I pray that we can stay the course and maintain our culture of service and volunteerism well enough to keep fighting these animals that would come here and kill us. And I've been face to face with these radical Islamic terrorists, whether they're in the Taliban, Al-Qaeda, or ISIS. I will tell you from being face to face with them that they would come in your home and kill every living thing. Elders, infants, animals. And they will leave your home feeling like they're closer to God for having done it. They've already come here to kill us. They've already been successful in proportions I don't even want to talk about. What's next? We have to disrupt that capability. We can't be pacifist and fight an enemy that's willing to die for a cause that they'll never see the results of. And when they're lopping off our heads on videotape, we can't fight them with Queen's rules and white gloves on. We have to get serious. And it's coming to a town near you. This is not fear-mongering. And guess what? Tag, you're it. You're going to be the one on the ground trying to deal with that. And it's the joke of the year. Is the scene safe? It's a joke. We're facing a battleground in our own country. It's time to get serious about our training. It's time to get serious about our mindset. It's time to get serious about resilience. We can't do it if we don't become better leaders. Let me tell you what the difference is, in my opinion. See that battlefield challenge of having to overcome your fear of dying to do even small tasks? The answer in effective leadership in those environments is to adopt an ethical, a legal, and a moral triad in your life. Not just when you're on duty. You should be asking those three questions with everything you do and in the observation of what people do around you. It's those three questions. Is it ethical? Is it moral? Is it legal? Because if you're not asking those questions, there's going to be a shortfall somewhere. And if you're not applying that triad in your personal life, off duty, then you're not a person we can trust. And you're disqualifying yourself from being a legitimate leader. If you're one of these people that want to invoke your right to be anybody you want off duty and nobody can say nothing, it's a free country. Yeah, it is free. And you may have a legal basis for that. But you have no basis to be a leader in this society, much less in emergency management, if you're an idiot off duty. No one's going to follow you even out of idle curiosity, especially when the stakes are high and lives are at risk. It's voluntarily bipolar to think you can be two separate people. So pick one. Be the best you know how to be. And bring it to work with you. And then we'll all be leaders together. You don't have to be at the top to be the leader. And I'm tired of this perspective about following the leader. I'm tired of people saying you're a brown noser because you're supporting your leader. Give me a break. For the rest of my life, any leader I have, I'll shine their shoes. I'll take their dry cleaning off. I'll sweep their floor and empty their trash. And I will try to get the creamer sugar mixture just right in their coffee every day. There's several reasons for that. If I'm supporting my leader to the utmost, I'm freeing them from the minutia that ties up time in their day. I'm allowing them a better focus on the serious issues at hand that they've been charged with the responsibility of. I want them to be able to focus better because they're making decisions that impact my life and the success of the organization I belong to. So why would I not do everything I can to support the leader? So if you've got some kind of sick peer pressure going on that you shouldn't be doing nice things for the boss, fix it. We all need to be supporting the leaders. It's going to do a couple things for us. It frees them up to make better decisions, and it allows us good access and placement to observe those leadership positions. And maybe start preparing ourselves for things that we'd never see if we stayed on the other end of the building to make sure we're not kissing butt. Next slide. Yeah, I'm angry. These are blankets. What do you think the Special Forces team was doing with blankets? It's not barbaric to hand out blankets or to pull teeth for people that have never seen a dentist before. It's not barbaric to dig wells and provide the first hygienic water source that a village has ever had in their entire existence. What we do is not barbaric. The overwhelming majority of what we do is winning hearts and minds and sharing relative peace and freedom and stability. And they'll never change. They'll never change their way of life unless they see something different. So isn't it up to us to give them a chance? By the time they reach a certain age, it's over. The propaganda sets in. And we can't impact them anymore. So I'm real proud of some of the stuff we do. It's not violent. And let me tell you the difference between our culture and theirs. We were pulling teeth one day, and there was a line over the horizon of people. Over the horizon in the distance for people that were in pain. They were miserable, but they'd never had the opportunity for a dentist. Halfway through that line, we ran out of anesthesia. No more anesthetic. And I got to be the one who made the announcement. So I go out there and I say, the good news is you can still get your teeth pulled, but the bad news, no pain medicine for it. And I want you to know, maybe 20% left the line. A 15-year-old girl got in the chair in front of me, and she reached out and grabbed my hand. And I almost pulled back out of fear of the appearance of things. But her sincerity caught me. And so I squeezed her hand back and I listened. And she said, if you will hold my heart while you pull my tooth, I'll be just fine. That may be nothing. That may be nothing to some people. But that's everything. Ask your teenager if they'd be willing to go through that. What's the mentality? Next. So that's what's left of my team after I got wounded and Bill Brown, my battle buddy on the vehicle, got killed a few hundred meters away. And you'll see Riley Stevens, the medic that saved my life, kneeling on the right side. We've since lost 3 more of those guys. Next slide. And that is a baby. It's a baby. It's an Afghan baby. Does that change your impression? No, it's a baby. And that baby doesn't know how to hate until we teach it how to hate. And it deserves a shot at God-given freedom, just like the rest of us. So the next time you hear we should make a parking lot out of it, drop a bomb, kill them all, let God sort them out, that's not who we are. That's not what we live for. Next. These are just children. They weren't trying to kill me. They just wanted to hear me talk again because it sounds funny. They wanted to know if I have any candy. Next. They're a lot like our kids. They just don't have it as good, and they're not as spoiled. They appreciate things. Next. When I'm having a bad day, I try to remember orders that we received to clear an area like this in 72 hours. That's a lot of corners, a lot of places for bad guys, and not enough people to do it with. Next. That is marijuana. Is it legal here yet? Some sinister Snickers back there. It grows like cornfields over there. It's as far as the eye can see and 10 feet tall in places. And I want you to know it's narco-terrorism. It's not just a bag of dope. So here in Lexington, when your teenagers are buying a bag of dope in the high school, the money is going to terrorists. It's buying ammunition and fuel for our enemies. It's buying plane tickets to fly in the World Trade Center. That's what the money's doing. And that stuff is grown by slave labor. Next. Keep going. Next. 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 Keep going. So many stories, but we don't have until Monday. Next. That's the vehicle I was riding in that blew up. And you can see the brush guard bumper on the upper right there, and the circle in the top is what I was standing in when it blew up. And it continued to burn and incinerate, as you can see. That's not much left of a Humvee. That's what I was crawling away from. Next. That's a flag that was folded up and flown at the top of the hill because they believed I was dead. EMT rule number 1 sometimes is don't say anything around a patient that you don't want them to hear or know or see. Everybody kept doing this. When they would ask how I was, it was this hand and arm signal, he's not going to make it. I saw that. It pissed me off. I didn't plan on going anywhere. But it was contagious. It was so contagious. It was almost a cultural effect that one person would say it to another, and then that person would give the same response to the next. And so all the way to Kandahar, when I'm being handed off to the flight medics and then handed off to the surgical team, everybody was doing the same crap. No, no, no. Don't ever do that, please. And the reason the flag was folded was because they thought I was dead. And that wasn't just because of their perspective on the battlefield. You see, I went into cardiac arrest in Kandahar, and one round of compressions restored my heartbeat. But someone saw him doing compressions on me, and that dude went and emailed his wife and said, "Stube's dead." Well, his wife emailed my family and said, "Did you know?" So now, back at Fort Bragg, Stube's dead. And for 6 hours, my family had to believe it. So, to coin another phrase from my father, never miss an opportunity to keep your mouth shut. Information hurts, especially bad information. Next. That's me. How was the beef tonight? Next. That's an exit wound from an AK-47 or a PKM. It's a .30 caliber out of the front of my hip there. Next. And that's an entrance wound of a 1-pound piece of shrapnel that had its way with me. Ouch. And then, of course, full thickness burns and grafting and all the good stuff. Next. And that's me. I wish it wasn't cut out. I had an external fixation device on my leg. You see, a vascular surgeon spent 18 hours reattaching my leg. And it's mine. It actually survived. I can't feel it very good. I'm fun to watch because I trip a lot. And it'll go to sleep during the day sometimes, and then it's up all night. But it's mine. I got to keep it. And that's amazing. What a testament to the entire team. And that team starts with you. Next. And that's my little turd. I got to come home to my family. I got to face our nation's enemies and come back to what really matters in this culture of service. But I was stove up. I had people taking care of me in excruciating ways. I went from hero to zero. A Green Beret doesn't learn how to let people wipe his butt for him. No, but I was head down, butt up, shut up. I couldn't help myself. I had lost so much intestine and had third-degree burns all over my butt. I was having loose stools 15, 20 times a day, and I couldn't stop it, couldn't control it, and it was going right into my sterile burn dressings. And every time, people had to come in and help me in ways that I'm ashamed to say that I may not be able to help other people. That's humiliating. I wish somebody had taught me how to surrender. I wish somebody had taught me that I wasn't the king. I wish somebody had humbled me before then, because everything I'd done to build strength in my life to that point failed me. And now I was left with no foundation, no resilience, nothing. Had to try and figure it out. And granted, I wanted to meet these pretty nurses, but not like that. That's not how we want to be seen. And if each one of us will accept our mortality and embrace our weaknesses, then we'll realize that's where we're going in one way or another. Because we decline. Isn't that the natural condition? And sometimes we decline instantly. You see it every day, trauma managers. Next time it could be you. But I got to survive and come home to that little turd. This isn't the me show, but this is my example that I want to show you. And there's thousands, millions of examples in our country's history because it's what we stand for. It's who we are. And I want you to know that you're as much or more a part of that lineage, that heritage, that history. You're the one standing in the gap. You're the one responding when everyone else is running in fear. And that's what the home front looks like. You're soldiers too. I need you to keep that boy safe. And I'm declining in my health as I get older. And it's just not fair that I could lose over half my intestines and still have a gut this big. That's cruelty. Next. Next. Now, we live in a country where our kids can dress up for Halloween and they can dream about becoming an astronaut. Mine did. Isn't it refreshing to know that we live in one of the last places on the planet where they can dream it and then become it? Isn't that worth preserving? Isn't it good that you're a part of something that preserves this freedom and makes it what it is every day? What do you think? How do you feel about the fact that you saved somebody that may have become an astronaut, a doctor, a lawyer, that wouldn't have had a life like that? Somebody that bore children after you allowed them life and limb. What you do each day matters, and we need you. Please ask yourself the question and answer it. It is worth it. It is worth the commitment. It's worth it to serve something bigger than yourself and serve it beyond sacrifice. Next. Strength and honor. That's a symbol of the country. I believe in it. Last slide. This is who we are. We're just this whole basket full of misfit toys. Can we love each other? Can we see the absolute commonalities? Can we put aside our petty perceived differences? Can we hug each other, especially someone we think we don't like? Can we see that that might be the person that'll save us later? I hope so. We need each other. I know that I need you. I love you, each and every one of you. And I thank you for your service, what you do, just by virtue of being here tonight for this event. What this represents means that everything that I did is worth it, and I would do it again. And it means the people that served by my side and died doing it, they would say thank you for holding it up, because they believe in it too, and they would expect you to do your best. So let's make a good impact on the next generation. Let's love each other, confess our limitations that we may be stronger. God bless America, and God bless all of you.
Well, we've been here a while, but I got